Hilchos Melochim Periktes Halacha Yud. V'chein chai ol even menachai. He's also liable for even menachai, like Ben Noach. So you go to the Peirush. He's liable for eating a limb from an animal, which means the bone with the meat. Bostoner Rebbe. Also the meat. After he explains the 7 mitzvahs of Bnei Noach, Avodah Hilchos Hashem, shiur and Gezel. He after he explained 5, we come to the 6th, which is Eiv Menachai. B'chol shu, there's no measure. Shleinitnu shiurim el Yisrael bevad. The measures means that were given only to Klal Yisrael. But Ben Noach, even at the smallest amount, he would be liable. The Rambam continues, "Mutu b'dam menachai." A goy can drink or eat blood. The Melochim says he's also liable on also. He adds it as an also Eiv Menachai. And Halacha Yod is a continuation of Tes. He says Ben Noach is liable on less than Puta, not only because he doesn't forgive, because the measures were only given to Klal Yisrael, and therefore he adds it here that the Ben Noach has no shiur when it comes to eating. That's why the Vav is v'chein. The Magid Mishnah says that Yisrael is chayav only on stealing a shevar puta. The Rambam forbids in less than a shevar puta, even by Yisrael, because we have a klal chatzi shiur also minator, which means half a measure is also forbidden. You just don't get punished for it, but it is forbidden. Because the Mishnah cites, it's found in Sanhedrin 15:9a, the Chacham Torah. It says, but meat in its soul, its blood shall not be eaten. What does that mean? When it's a soul, it's soul. When it's alive, that means when you cut a limb from a living animal. If you Perik Tes, you find Halacha in Perik Tes, Halacha Aleph, he added Bnei Noach Eiv Menachai. It says Ach Bos Menashe Lo Yisechelu. The Braisa cites that Rav Chanina ben Gamliel learns that even Dam Menachai is also forbidden. The Gemara explains what does the word Damoy mean. It means that the bosa of the soul, when the animal is alive, you shouldn't eat. Therefore, it's Damoy Benafshoy. The dam that's taken from the animal in its life, you shall not eat. So he wants to learn that would be forbidden the blood because as well as the meat of the limb. The Pasuk comes to tell us that they can eat even menachai of shrotzim, that they don't have blood. Hunam explains they learn from Domoy, somebody whose blood is separate from his flesh, which is like a by a mammal, that were forbidden on on taking the blood by itself, because you're eating dam, and that Bnei Noach says they shouldn't eat Eiv Menachai, and that type of an animal. But shrotzim, which are insects, ain't done cholok. Their blood is not separate from their outer being. Therefore, they were not told Yisrael you can't take dam shrotzim because of dam, but because you're eating the sheretz itself. Therefore, Bnei Noach were not commanded regarding shrotzim because it has no blood in it, and the only forbidden to them is an animal that has blood. The Rambam is the opinion Yisrael is not liable on blood from a live animal, and therefore you need Domoy to tell us that dam shrotzim is permitted. But Ben Noach wasn't forbidden with the blood, and therefore you can have even blood from a live animal. Rabbi Yehuda questions why the Rambam didn't mention that shrotzim are permitted to them even to Bnei Noach. the liability of Eiva Ben Achai and Bosa Ben Achai is brought in Hilchos Ma'acholos Asuros, forbidden eating items. From we learned it B'Kabolo. You should not eat the soul with the meat. That tells us a limb was cut off from a live animal. And it says by Noach Ach Bosa Ben Achai Domo Yisrael. So we know that we're talking about Eiva Ben Achai. And he adds Yisrael only receives malchus on an Eiva that has all the following: meat, veins, and muscles, and bone. Somebody who eats less than a kazayas is not liable, because you don't get malchus unless in a kazayas. If he eats bosam menachai, if he eats just a piece of flesh that he cut off from an animal, he only gets malchus lashes for the kazayas. If he eats a kazayas. Choose some Sefer cites the Shagas Aliyah questioned to the Goyen Amnos and Adlo. Noach doesn't have to say he's liable on Eiva Menachai, because there was no measurement between Noach. When he eats an Eiva Menachai, there has to be a little bit of meat, and therefore he should be liable by anything. What do you have to have Eiva Menachai? As soon as he eats the meat, he's liable. The Kiva Eger adds, you can't say that you're liable malchus because of two lavim, because by Bnei Noach, their forbiddenness is their why they receive death penalties. Rabbi Kiva therefore explains that Eiva Menachai is when it means when he ate the meat, not the way it's usually eaten. It's the liable. Like he ate the if he would eat the muscle and the bone, even though it's not called eating. He says toisus, but if he eats bosam menachai, not the way it's customarily eating, he would not be liable. The Rabbi Kiva Eger is saying that if you eat Eiva Menachai not the way it's usually eaten, that people eat, then it is forbidden. But Ocha Bosam Menachai would not be called eating. His Talmud answers that somebody who became so ravenous that he's going to die if he doesn't eat. So the lawyers you give him to eat on Yom Kippur, we're talking about when he has to fast. Any time, if you have to give him to eat and you have a few items before you, you give him the least forbidden. If he has only things that are forbidden, so you give him first that which is the lightest. Therefore, if a person would have the situation by Ben Noach, and he has Bosam Menachai and Eiva Menachai to choose from, we give him to eat rather than Bosam Menachai, because by Eiva Menachai there are two forbiddennesses. There's the Eiva and the meat. Rabbi Kiva Eger says that only by Yisrael you can feed a person who's dying that which is forbidden. He says V'chai by Ben Noach it's forbidden to eat even if it's going to be his life. So his Talmud answered him, you can say by Ben Noach, who's forcing Yisrael to give him to eat one of two pieces. And even though Yisrael is forbidden to give him something that's forbidden, because they're not supposed to live, but since he forces him, he should give him Bosam Menachai. Here, the Goy will only transgress one forbiddenness and not Eiva Menachai. And he transgresses two forbiddennesses. And so the Samsoifer answers that the difference is Yisrael. He quotes that even though Toisus in Sanhedrin 74b says that even by Ben Noach there is a concept of a Chai B'Hem, we give him the lighter first, and therefore Ben Noach, who's in the danger of his life, can heal himself by eating meat from the Chai rather than Eiva Menachai. Yisrael can give him to eat Eiva Menachai that has two Yisurim. If he would give it to him, Nerag, who would be killed? The guy would die. because he should have saved himself with Bostoner Rebbe, because the Pikuach Nefesh and not the more stringent Eivim Menachai. The Peirush Drochim is of the opinion that according to Tosis that the permission of Pikuach Nefesh is by a Ben Noach doesn't make a differentiation like by some Sofer whether Yisrael could give it to him. And he says by Ben Noach himself, if he can heal himself from meat of a chai, I'll take the Eivim Menachai. He's liable for the death penalty because Eivim Menachai was not permitted when he can heal himself with meat Menachai. There's only one issue. The Machon learns from the Tosis that they disagree with the Rambam, Machon Nesher HaGodol, and they have the opinion that Bostoner Rebbe is mutter to a Ben Noach, that the Bostoner Rebbe is only forbidden to Klal Yisrael. Here we're discussing we mentioned that measures were only given to Yisrael alone. The Ritva explains measures were only given to Yisrael that we received it from Torah and Sinai. Halacha Moshe Sinai is only for Yisrael. The Pri Megadim points out that Tosis are not of that opinion, and he explains the disagreement in the mission of Melach in Hilchos Yesodei in the name of the Rae. Whenever it says La Yochel in the Torah, it means anything. In Halacha Moshe Sinai, you only get lashes on a kezayis. The Megadim adds that the Mishnah Melech explains with this the Brisa that adds that I have a shiur we learn from kol chelev, from the word. It doesn't say chelev you should not eat fats. It says any fats. But Noach doesn't say Halacha Moshe Sinai, and therefore the obligation, the forbiddenness remains even on the minutest amount, like the words of the Rambam. But the Pri Megadim learns the Gemara that in every place eating is with the kezayis, just that the Halacha Rabbi Yochanan learns from the Brisa kol that a half a shiur is forbidden. Noach, it doesn't say halacha. A chatzi shiur is totally permitted. He learns the exact opposite. That a Jew is forbidden because ice is the measure. But however, a Jew is forbidden on a half a shiur and a goy is mutter. He questions whether we codify the halacha like the Rambam that Ben Noach is liable even by the smallest amount, or like Tosis, there's only with a shiur. But according to Reish Lakish, chatzi shiur is mutter ben Torah. There's no forbiddenness at all. Thus, we would find that Ben Noach is warned and therefore liable even on the smallest amount. Like Rabbi Yochanan, the chatzi shiur is forbidden ben Torah. But according to Reish Lakish, the half a shiur is mutter ben Torah. There's no forbiddenness to Ben Noach. In Sanhedrin, it's explained that there's nothing. We have this rule. There's nothing that for Yisrael is permitted and the goyim are forbidden. And according to Reish Lakish, how could it be that Ben Noach should be killed on a chatzi shiur? He will say that Ben Noach there's no shiur by Ben Noach. How can you say that for Ben Noach to have to die and for Yisrael it's permitted, like Minat Torah? The later commentaries explain that the Rambam goes with his opinion. The halacha, you don't say there's nothing that for Yisrael is mutter and goy is also. There are things that it does take place. Sam Sefer points out that the smallest shiur, in what's considered maturity, that Yisrael is only liable from 13 years in one day, and he brought and asked that bring proof of puberty also is Halacha Moshe Sinai. Melochim wasn't said it, and therefore there's no concept of them being a minor. As soon as they have intelligence, they are liable. And the question says, you do not punish Ben Noach who's minor, and therefore where's their minor? And the answer is the Halacha Moshe Sinai teaches us if the Kohen is wise and he comprehends, then even if he's wise, if he is Yisrael, even if the child is wise, he's not liable until he gets to be 13 years old, and he has proof. This is only said true, but this concept of 13 years old was not said to a Ben Noach. Therefore, Ben Noach was younger than 13, and he understands what he's doing, is punished like an adult. But Yisrael, who is not of intelligence, that his desire is like he doesn't know what he's doing. He's forced to because he doesn't comprehend. Then he's just like a deaf mute or mentally incompetent. Or Kohen Yisrael, even Ben Noach would be potter if he's not intellectually, doesn't have the intellectual capacity to comprehend what's forbidden and what's not.